Devin Booker said something that should absolutely terrify every single Phoenix Suns fan. After spending a full decade in the NBA, his 10th season, the Suns didn't even make the play-in tournament, let alone the actual playoffs. To make things worse, they don't even control their own first-round draft pick. That pick. It goes to Houston. So I ran the lottery simulation on Tankathon, just for fun, right? In one try, the pick landed at number 3. Tried again, and boom, number 1. Imagine suffering through a miserable season like that, only to hand a top pick to another team. Brutal. Now, what Devin Booker said after all this, that's the real warning sign. But to understand how we got here, you've got to go back to when Matt Ishbia bought the Suns. He was a former walk-on at Michigan State who took over his dad's mortgage company, got filthy rich, and then bought the Suns. At the time, Phoenix had just won 64 games, more than the Celtics this season. They were a legit powerhouse. On the flip side, the OKC Thunder were a rebuilding mess, only 24 wins. But which team blew it all up? Not the young, rebuilding squad with picks and patience. It was the team that was already good. Let that sink in. OKC had every reason to trade for a superstar and go all in. But they didn't. They waited. They trusted the process. The Suns? They had a young core, guys who were 23, 25, 25, and 25 years old, and they threw it all away. Why? Because Matt Ishbia didn't want to wait. Matt Ishbia didn't just want to own an NBA team, he wanted to control it. And that's exactly what's happening in Phoenix right now. You know, it's kind of ironic. The man built his empire by selling 30-year mortgages, a business literally based on patience and long-term thinking, and yet, when it comes to the Suns, he's the most impatient guy in the league. He's even gone on record saying things like, "It surprises me how other fans enjoy the rebuild process. Like, are you crazy? You think I'm going to go through 7 years just to get there?" And that right there is the core problem. Ishbia wants to win, right now, and he acts like everyone else doesn't. But here's the thing, every team wants to win. Some just understand that sustainable winning takes time. It takes sacrifice. And sometimes, it takes patience. Instead, what we're seeing in Phoenix is a man who thinks the rules don't apply to him. Fans are screaming, "Fire the GM!" But here's the truth. Matt Ishbia is the GM. Sure, James Jones has the title, but if you think he's the one making the real decisions, think again. That title might as well say, puppet. This isn't new. We've seen it before. Think back to the Brooklyn Nets era with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Officially, Sean Marks was the GM. But KD and Kyrie were calling the shots. They got Kenny Atkinson fired, pushed for Steve Nash, demanded the James Harden trade. They basically ran the team into chaos. The Suns are no different now. Firing the coach, swapping GMs, none of that matters when the owner is making all the big calls. Now let's compare that to the patient franchises, the ones that didn't panic. Take the Lakers. For years, Rob Pelinka refused to trade away picks, even when it frustrated LeBron. He said no to deals for DeJounte Murray, said no to sending out Austin Reeves in a Kyrie package. Why? Because he was thinking long-term. And now they're in position to go after someone like Luka Doncic. Or look at the Golden State Warriors. People, myself included, spent years yelling at them to trade their young guys to help Steph win now. They didn't listen. They stayed patient, and landed Jimmy Butler. Even OKC, who could have flipped their war chest for a superstar, chose to grow their talent. And look at them now, legit contenders with the youngest core in the league. The contrast is clear. Smart teams wait. The Suns rushed. And now they're stuck. They've got an impatient billionaire who loves basketball and throws money around, but doesn't trust actual basketball people to run the show. It's dysfunction, just with a shinier credit card. So, what's next for the Phoenix Suns? Well, according to recent reports, teams like the Heat, Nuggets, Spurs, and Warriors are already lining up, not to trade for Bradley Beal, but to sign him once Phoenix buys out his contract. Yes, you heard that right. The Suns might buy out Beal's massive deal. He's still owed over $110 million across the next 2 years. Buying him out would mean swallowing close to $80 million in dead money. That would destroy their cap flexibility even more, and still leave them worse off. And what about Kevin Durant? Fans are already starting to ask the big question. If we can't win, maybe we trade KD now and get something back while his value is still high. Even KD seems to sense it. When a fan tweeted something like, "We don't want to lose you, but let's be real, we can't run this back. You're our best trade asset." Durant simply replied, "Respectfully." That one word said it all. So who's out there? According to Sham Charania, teams like the Heat, Spurs, Knicks, Rockets, and Timberwolves have interest. But then Brian Windhorst chimed in, "Phoenix wants a massive haul, too massive." That's why KD didn't get moved at the trade deadline. No one wanted to meet the asking price. And that might not change this summer. What if all they can get for Durant is, say, 2 good role players and a pick? That's the kind of return on the table. Like if KD went to Houston, maybe Phoenix gets Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Shepherd. From the Spurs, maybe Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. Grizzlies, something like Desmond Bane and G.G. Jackson. Maybe Michael Porter Jr. from the Nuggets with another rotation guy. Not exactly superstar trades, right? And yet, this is where Phoenix is. They don't control any of their own first-round picks until 2032, that's not a joke. So no matter how smart or creative they want to be, they've got nothing to trade. They've already spent everything to build this fragile, top-heavy roster. And at the center of all this is Devin Booker, now nearly 29 years old, who just said this in an interview with The Ringer. "I will never be in a rebuild again." Let that sink in. This isn't a rookie frustrated after a bad year. This is a franchise player, the one bright spot through years of losing, and he's drawing a line. But guess what? He might not have a choice. Because if the Suns can't move Beal, and can't get fair value for KD, and can't fix their depth or their cap sheet, then like it or not, they're heading straight into a rebuild. After the Suns' final home game of the season, a game that meant absolutely nothing, Devin Booker still suited up. Why? Afterward, he said something that stuck with fans. "It took a real Suns fan to be there tonight. I pay real respect to the person that was either their first time, or maybe their last time, seeing me play." Now, some people brushed it off, like, oh, he just meant they might not get to attend another game. But let's be real. NBA stars choose their words very carefully. They know every sentence gets dissected. Booker said that for a reason. And remember, he already said, "I'm never going through a rebuild again." That's not just a complaint, that's a message. So what happens now? Here's the wild idea that's actually gaining traction. What if the Suns package Booker and Durant in a trade, most likely to Houston? It sounds crazy at first, but think about it. Houston has Phoenix's draft picks for years. If the Suns ever want to rebuild properly, they need those picks back. A mega trade with Houston gets you your future plus legit young talent. Maybe Jalen Green, Reed Shepherd, maybe more. And for the Rockets? You pair Booker and KD with that defensive juggernaut they've already built. Suddenly, they're not just a playoff team, they're a legit contender. That team has everything: young legs, elite defenders like Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Dylan Brooks, but no killer closer. Booker fixes that instantly. KD makes them deadly. For Booker, it might hurt at first. This is the guy who genuinely loved Phoenix, who suffered through the dark years, who got them to the finals. But just like Luka in Dallas, love can only carry you so far when the franchise is broken. And right now, Phoenix is absolutely broken. They're about to fire Mike Budenholzer, which would make 3 coaches in 3 years. This is becoming a revolving door again, the exact dysfunction Booker thought he'd left behind. Meanwhile, other teams are doing it right. Look at Golden State and Cleveland, both teams thriving, not just because of star power, but because of defense. Guys like Draymond Green and Evan Mobley are back in the Defensive Player of the Year race. And how did Draymond go from being totally out of the picture to the favorite in just 21 days? Well, that's a whole different story, and it's got some pretty concerning answers.